Hey everybody, welcome back to um to Regulation E, kinda. Basically we have a pretty long list of Pokemon that are confirmed to be coming back in the DLC for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. We don't know every Pokemon, but what I wanted to do today was take a look at the ones that we know are going to be coming back in the first part of the DLC, the Teal Mask, because I'm assuming that's basically what Regulation E is going to be. Regulation E is most likely going to be, just like adding all of these Pokemon to the format. So I just want to look at them. I want to talk about the most important ones. I have prepared like movesets for a bunch of them, so we're just going to look at them. We're going to scroll through this list really quick, and then I have a bunch of them built in showdown here so you can see what I'm talking about. Just going through down here really quick with the Arbok line, the Clefable line, both Ninetales lines, the Poly line. We got Snorlax, we got Furret, we got Noctowl, Ambipom, Yanmega, Gliscor, Mamoswine, Mightyena, Shiftry, Crawdon, Chimecho, Milotic, Conkeldurr, Mandibuzz, Trevenant. We got the whole Vikavolt line, and we got Cramorant. These are the ones that we know are coming back for sure. They've been revealed, like official trailers, stuff like that. I want to talk about the ones that I think are the most important, okay? And it's kind of a long list, so bear with me, okay? Before I jump into the list here, as always, guys, if you like this video, make sure you leave me a big fat like. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you want to see in the future, or if you think that any of the Pokemon that are coming back I have left off. And, we can talk about that in the comments, or maybe I'll make another video. I don't know. Whatever needs to happen is going to happen, okay? The first one we're going to talk about here is Milotic. Now, Milotic is very good because it has competitive, and it also has like other niches. But basically, it's the best Pokemon so far that we've gotten with competitive. The other Pokemon that we have competitive, Galarian Articuno, and now Kilowattrel, they don't, and well, I guess Jigglypuff and Wigglytuff, but they're not really good Pokemon. Milotic is a really good Pokemon for a couple of reasons. It has competitive, and it's a water type, so it like deals with Incineroar. It's the Incineroar counter, basically, is what it is. But there was this set going around last generation. It was Coil, Hypnosis, Muddy Water, Protect. And if you don't know what Coil does, is it raises your attack, your defense, and your accuracy all by one stage. Now, obviously, you don't need that attack boost, but a defense boost is pretty good, and especially with Rillaboom running around. And an accuracy boost is amazing because now your Hypnosis is more accurate, your Muddy Water won't miss anymore. It's a very cool set, and I feel like the set's going to come back for this Pokemon, and I feel like this combo is really good into Flamigo. Everything's about Flamigo in the end, don't worry. Everything is always about Flamigo somehow. But it combo's really cool into Flamigo because then you can switch in Flamigo and you can, have all those boosts on your Flamigo, which is really neat. Those attack boosts will actually come in handy for that. I'm excited to play Zygarde this way with Flamigo. I think it's going to be very neat. But yeah, it's just a lot of good like supporting moves. I want to say, yeah, you get Haze, which is always good. You get Ice Beam, to hit grass types. You actually just straight up get Recover, which is amazing. We don't know if we're going to get Scald, but one of those... this is obviously like Nat Deck, so it's the moves that they've learned in every generation. But one of those trailers showed a Milotic, and everybody thinks that it looks like it's using the Scald because it's like a very similar animation. So maybe Milotic will get Scald. And if it does, that's kind of amazing. Everything in Nat Dex gets toxic, but not everything gets toxic anymore. Icy Wind's really good. Yeah, I don't know, it's just a really solid Pokemon. Next up, we're going to put Alolan Ninetales. Now, right now we have Abomasnow. Abomasnow's fine, right? Alolan Ninetales is about 1,000,000 times better than Abomasnow as a snow setter. And it's like not even close. Like Alolan Ninetales is fast and it hits hard. And sometimes that's what you need for your setter. So like it can straight up just come in, Aurora Veil. It's going to get it off most of the time because it doesn't have to worry get knocked out. It's not 4 times weak to anything. I guess it's 4 times weak to steel, but what are you going to do? But yeah, I guess Aurora Veil, its Blizzard hits relatively hard, and then it gets Fairy coverage, which is really, really nice. It's just a really good Pokemon. Obviously, you get all these moves here. You also get Icy Wind. You can run Calm Mind if you want. It does get Foul Play, which is kind of funny. Ice Shard if you want like a priority move that just does a little bit of damage. Roar is sometimes a very, very good move. So is Baby Doll Eyes. Every once in a while, Baby Doll Eyes is a really good move on the right Pokemon. But yeah, it's just a really solid Pokemon all around. And I feel like, you know, it's gonna make Snow a lot better than it is right now, and Snow is already like on the cusp of being good, which is what I'm trying to say. Clefairy, you know what Clefairy does. Now I don't know. Clefairy's kind of weird, right? Because excuse me, gosh, I feel like Clefairy has kind of been overshadowed by Mousehold, because Mousehold is a fully evolved Pokemon, and Clefairy doesn't really do a whole lot besides being supportive, and Mousehold has, you know, other stuff it can do. Now, I don't think your bulk is like a million miles away from Mousehold when you're holding the Eviolite, and you do get supportive moves that Mousehold doesn't, right? Because you can just get Moonlight, you can straight up heal yourself. Obviously, they both get Follow Me, they both get Helping Hand. But Clefairy gets Sing, which is funny. It also gets like Endeavor, it gets Heal Bell. You can run some damaging moves if you want. It gets like Psychic type, Soft Boiled. That's gotta be like a really old egg move that you don't get anymore, like an event move or something. Wish it does definitely get. After You, Clefairy is very funny because Clefairy is really slow. It actually is slower than a lot of the mainstay Trick Room Pokemon that we have right now. It's slower than everything except for Amoonguss. So if you ran like a minus speed nature, you could straight up use Clefairy as anti-Trick Room as well, which is really funny. Yeah, it's just and then you have Friend Guard, which is always really good to have on a supportive Pokemon like this. The only thing that Clefairy is like, you know, problem is it doesn't really do damage, and Mousehold kind of does damage. So I feel like maybe Clefairy might not make a comeback. It might just be Mousehold forever now, you know? Now, Clefairy is obviously the better of the two, but don't sleep on Clefable, because Clefable's coming in, and it's going to be the only Pokemon that we have with Magic Guard, which means that it can only be damaged by direct attacks. This is the only Pokemon in the game right now that is immune to Salt Cure, which is very funny. And it also gets Unaware, which can be like low-key kind of useful with Follow Me sets, especially into like, I don't know, like Dondozo or just any boosting Pokemon. Unaware is just a really good ability to have, so maybe, you know, that'll come in handy too. And it gets all the same moves Clefairy does, plus more. Now we have Politoed. Politoed's coming back. Pelipper is great and all. Politoed is the GOAT, okay? Politoed gets so many support moves. Yes, Pelipper gets Tailwind, and that's amazing for Pelipper. Politoed gets Perish Song. Politoed gets Helping Hand. And now, you know, Pelipper does get Helping Hand now, so that's kind of less different. But Politoed gets Haze. Politoed gets Sing. It gets like good ice coverage. It might get Scald back. We aren't sure. It looks like Scald might come back. It's kind of hard to say. It can like boost its special defense with Amnesia. It gets Belly Drum, which is very, very funny. Yeah, basically just Politoed is just a much bulkier Pokemon than Pelipper, so it's easier to have it stick around for a long time. And it's not 4 times weak to anything like Politoed is, like Pelipper is. Pelipper is 4 times weak to Electric and is 4 times weak to Freeze Dry. At least Politoed only takes like regular super effective damage from Freeze Dry. Very important stuff. And if we still learn Muddy Water, honestly, like it's gonna be a better like water type attacker than Pelipper, because we're kind of like super held back by the amount of Pokemon that learn Muddy Water right now. They took it away from a lot of things, so it's going to be interesting to see if Politoed and Milotic get to keep it. For sure. Next up is Dusclops. Dusclops is basically Ghost-type Cresselia. Dusclops has the same defense and special defense stats as Cresselia. I think actually Cresselia got nerfed this generation with a lot less HP, but if you're running Eviolite, it balances out basically. This is an extremely bulky Pokemon, and it's really slow. Dusclops, the only Pokemon that we have right now, I mean, I guess there's more than one, but the only Pokemon that we have right now really that's relevant, that's slower than Dusclops, is Torkoal. Nothing will underspeed Torkoal, or nothing else will underspeed Dusclops. And it gets Trick Room, it gets Pain Split to heal itself and take HP away from your opponent at the same time, which is great. Especially with a base 40 HP stat, like you are healing tons off of Pain Split. It's kind of insane. We've got Will-O-Wisp, we've got Nightshade. We get all sorts of crazy moves. We get like Brick Break, we get Haze. A lot of Haze Pokemon entering the format straight up. It gets Shadow Sneak, it gets Taunt, it gets Trick. It got Ally Switch last generation. It probably won't get Ally Switch this generation because it's not like a TR now, so I wouldn't count on it getting Ally Switch, but you know, you can never really be too sure. Cresselia gets Ally Switch, so you know, maybe it's like a thing. It gets Icy Wind if you want. You can run like all sorts of crazy stuff on Dusclops, and it's just a really good Pokemon. So I would not be surprised to see Dust because, like, really, like, Ghost and Psychic basically have the same weaknesses. Actually, they exactly have the same weaknesses, except Psychic has an extra weakness to Ghost. No, wait. Psychic has an extra weakness to Bug, and Ghost actually resists Bug, and Ghost has an immunity to Normal. So, like, Ursaluna is not doing damage to Dusclops, and Dusclops is just pain splitting away all of the damage that it's doing. Now, obviously, you can't overwrite their burn with more burn, but, you know, I don't know. I think Dusclops is going to be really, really good, even, like, despite Fluttermane, because Cresselia is good despite Fluttermane, and they have the same weaknesses, if that makes sense. Hitmontop. Okay, so here's the deal with Hitmontop. Obviously, we're getting Incineroar back in part 2 of the DLC, right? But we're not going to have it for a couple of months. There's going to be a good chunk of time where we have Hitmontop and we don't have Incineroar, okay? And I'm thinking this might be Hitmontop's time to shine, okay? Hitmontop is a world champion. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure Wolfie Glick piloted Hitmontop to success in the World Championships. I could be wrong. Maybe, you know, I'm stupid. But Hitmontop gets a lot of good support moves. It gets all of the, like, protecting moves. It gets Wide Guard. It gets Quick Guard. It gets Fake Out. The only thing really that's holding Hitmontop back is it doesn't get any switching moves. If Hitmontop got U-Turn, I honestly think it would be, like, almost as good as Incineroar, which is kind of insane. It's probably not going to keep coaching, which is very sad. But it does get Feint, which is, like, an amazing utility move. What else do we get? Like, everything? Yeah, I don't know. Hitmontop just has a lot of, like, stuff it can do. And I feel like it's just been waiting for, like, a good format for it. Especially with the eject button to help you switch out and, like, switch back in. This is an Intimidate Pokemon with Fake Out, and we really don't have that right now. So, like, that's kind of the niche that Hitmontop fills, which is the niche that Incineroar fills. Now, obviously, Incineroar has, like, a better typing and better stuff. But, like, we have Terra, and Incineroar's not here. So, like, Hitmontop, right? It might be our best Intimidator, but it is possible that Gyarados stays the best Intimidator because, I don't know, Gyarados just does stuff now that... the stuff that it does is more relevant now than it has ever been, if that makes sense. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe it'll just be Landorus forever and we won't use Hitmontop. Maybe you can just run both, you know what I mean? Conkeldurr is a really good Trick Room sweeper. It's got Flame Orb. It's got Guts. It gets, like, all the punching moves. There's actually 3 good abilities. Guts, Sheer Force, and Iron Fist are all good abilities. I've seen Iron Fist Conkeldurr do good. But it is like a Gut Sweeper. And it is a Gut Sweeper that straight up counters Ursaluna. Because you're slower than Ursaluna. They set up the Trick Room, and you get your Conkeldurr, and you are knocking out their Ursaluna. Even if it terras to, like, Ghost, you get knockoff. Even if it terras to, like, you know, something else. I don't know. What else does it terra to? Usually just Normal and Ghost. I haven't really seen too many other terra types on it. I mean, I guess, like... I don't know, maybe I've seen, like, Fairy or something, but even then, I feel like Conkeldurr's got it. Conkeldurr is an Ursaluna counter, and I think that's really neat, and that's why it's here. Now, Gliscor's here. Let's talk about what Gliscor does first, because it's not why it's here. Gliscor is one of 2 Pokemon, basically, that gets Poison Heal, which is very neat. You can hold a Toxic Orb. When you are poisoned with Poison Heal, you heal yourself instead of taking damage, which is very cool. And Ground Flying is a really good typing for this. Really, like, the only weaknesses you have are Water and Ice. Which makes it, like, really super cool and super, like, defensive for this kind of stuff, okay? Now, I just threw, like, moves on here. I mean, it gets Roost, which is really cool. It gets Acrobatics. You can, like, fling your Toxic Orb to poison something and then click Acrobatics for damage and then Roost. You know, just to, like, live forever. Basically, what Gliscor does is it doesn't die. And that's what Gliscor does. Which is really cool. Maybe I'll make a Gliscor team, because Pokemon that don't die are some of my favorite Pokemon to use. And I'm sure it gets, like, boosting moves and stuff. I don't know. I will look into it at a future date. This is not why we're here, okay? The reason that Gliscor is on this list is because we have not had access to Gliscor's evolutionary item for 2 generations now. If you don't know, Gliscor evolves from Gligar while it's holding the the Razor Fang item. We didn't ever get the Razor Fang in Sword and Shield. But going into Sword and Shield, at least I think it was going into Sword and Shield, I'm actually going to double check and fact check myself, because I don't know that for sure. Let's see here. Pick up. Going into Sword and Shield, I believe. See, this is Generation IX. No. 5 to 8. Wow, Generation 5, really? Huh. Okay, so from Generation like 5 to 8, we basically only had pickup Pokemon that couldn't do anything. This generation, this is actually really neat. I didn't know it has like an extra effect in just wild Pokemon battles, which is kind of cool. But really, we've never had this specific strategy like legal in like any capacity. And so now we have King's Rock and we have Razor Fang in the same format, and they both have the same fling effect, which is that the Pokemon that gets hit with fling flinches. So now you can take your Ambipom, who has pickup and is the second fastest Pokemon with pickup. The fastest Pokemon with pickup is Small Gorgeist. I don't know if we're getting Small Gorgeist back. It's kind of hard to say. We are getting Trumpbeak back, which is the Pokemon that evolves into Toucanon, which gets Tailwind and Pickup, but it doesn't get Fling. I don't know, maybe they'll add Fling to its moveset. That'd be really neat. Please add Fling to Toucanon's moveset. Or, please add Fling to Trumpbeak's moveset, I'll cry. Anyway, this is the second fastest Pokemon that has Pickup as an ability and learns Fling. And basically what you can do, if you have two Pokemon on the field that both have Pickup, and they both fling their items, as long as no other consumable items happen after they fling their items, they just swap items. So like if I have an Ambipom and I have a Dedenne, and they both fling their items, the one of them flings a Razor Fang, the other one flings like a King's Rock. Both of my opponent's Pokemon flinch, and then I pick up those items again and I can fling them again, which is amazing. Such a funny thing. It's probably going to be one of the first things I try to do. Expect like a Showdown Salt or something with that strategy in the future. If you want to see it, let me know. I'm probably going to make it no matter what people say. And Ambipom is another Pokemon that is coming back in that DLC. So that's really cool. At least I'm pretty sure it was on the list there. If it's not on the Cerebi list, it was definitely on the Bulbapedia list. No, it's right there. I'm not dumb. So it's kind of like a two for here. Gliscor comes back. Gliscor's neat and all. I love Gliscor. But Gliscor's evolutionary item means that Ambipom coming back is amazing. Now, Ambipom does do other stuff. It has Technician. So it gets like Technician. It's one of the only Pokemon that gets like Technician Double Slap, I think, which is like stab and you can like Terra Normal. It'll do a whole bunch of damage, I'm pretty sure. But it gets like a bunch of different like multi-hit moves that you can use for Technician, which is pretty neat. It gets Technician and Skill Link, which is a weird thing, because I feel like if I had a nickel for every normal type Pokemon with like very similar stats to this that got Technician and Skill Link and a bunch of multi-hit moves, I would have 2 nickels, because Chinchino exists, which is very weird to think about. I don't know why they did that, but they did it, and you know what? That's fine. Honorable mention goes to Arbok here. It can run Black Sludge and Switcheroo, which is really neat, but Arbok gets Intimidate, and to be honest, Mono Poison typing right now is kind of good, which is weird to think about because Mono Poison typing has never really been good, but there's so much Fluttermane going around just throwing out Fairy type moves that Mono Poison typing is kind of good. And I feel like maybe there's a niche for Mono Poison Intimidate Pokemon. I mean, you get Glare, which is really cool. You can like paralyze ground types with Glare, which which Arbok is weak to. That kind of helps a lot. It gets Haze, which is really cool. I mean, obviously you don't want to haze away your Intimidate boost, but maybe, against Dondozo you haze and then you Intimidate later. It gets a lot of neat moves like Sucker Punch, obviously. It gets like Sludge Bomb, Sludge Wave. It gets like all the Fang attacks. It gets Earthquake. I mean, it's a Gen 1 Pokemon. It gets all the Gen 1 Pokemon moves. Bulldoze for like speed control. It gets Beat Up, which means that it is an Intimidate Pokemon which gets Beat Up, which is kind of neat. Maybe you can do like Scarf Beat Up shenanigans. I don't know. It gets Acid Spray, which is like a neat move. Fissure is always a funny move if it still gets it. Yeah. But basically, it's just here because it's like a Mono Poison type Intimidate Pokemon, and I feel like maybe there's a niche for that. I put in like Black Sludge Switcheroo just because I thought it was funny. Like you could just give your opponent a Black Sludge and then they just take damage, which is very cool. We have Charger Bug, Battery. Yo, man, I want them to buff Battery so bad because literally since they have introduced Stonejourner. Battery is just worse power spot. If you don't know, battery is like one half of a power spot. Battery only boosts special attacks. Power spot boosts special attacks and physical attacks. I feel like it would be fair if like battery was like 1.5, you know, just like a little bit more. It also does get like cool speed control with string shot. It gets Eerie Impulse. I honestly think if Charjabug got like recover, it would be like an amazing Pokemon. I get Sticky Web, which is a really cool entry hazard. I wish we had like good users of Sticky Web because I feel like it would probably see play in VGC if we did. It's just like really good permanent speed control, and there's so much switching in like, you know, VGC that I feel like it could work. You get electric type moves and stuff. Really just battery. It's just one of my favorite Pokemon to like use and have funny stuff happen. So there it is. We have Cramorant. I wasn't going to make this video and not talk about Cramorant. This is my boy. Cramorant, if you don't know, has this ability called Gulp Missile. Every time you use the move Surf or the move Dive, if you have more than 50% of your HP, the next time that Cramorant gets hit, the opponent that hit it takes a quarter of their HP. They just straight up take 25%, which is such great passive damage, especially if you're just clicking Surf every turn. And they take a defense drop, which is like really good. It was super good into like Zacian shenanigans when I was using it. Or if your Cramorant is less than 50% HP when it takes the hit, you come back up with a Pikachu and you spit it out. When you get hit, you spit it out and they get paralyzed. And this works even if Cramorant faints. I've seen Cramorant faint and then take an opponent with it off the 25%, which is super amazing stuff. And it gets like other moves too. It gets like Feather Dance, which is pretty cool. It'll probably get Tailwind this generation, which is really, really neat. It gets Icy Wind. It gets like the whole spit up stockpile stuff, which isn't good, but it's funny that it gets it because its whole deal is kind of just that it eats a lot. Yeah, I don't know. It's just a really cool Pokemon. One of my favorites. Trevenant is on here basically just because it has the ability Harvest. The only Pokemon right now we have that has Harvest is, I'm pretty sure, Tropius. And Tropius is not a great Pokemon. Trevenant has better stats than Tropius. Trevenant gets Trick Room. Trevenant gets Will-O-Wisp. Trevenant gets a lot of like really cool like moves. A lot of like not psychic type Trick Room Pokemon finally coming in, which is just amazing. In like, you know, Trevenant, Dusclops, other stuff I'm sure that I forgot to put on this list. I'm sorry. It's just nice to have Pokemon that aren't psychic type that set Trick Room, because right now basically all of our Trick Room Pokemon are psychic type. It gets Woodhammer, which is really nice. It gets Leech Seed. Obviously, it's a grass type. Most of them get Leech Seed. I wouldn't count on it getting Ally Switch this generation, but you can never be too sure. Yeah, I don't know. It's really just on here because it gets Harvest, and we don't have like a good Harvest Pokemon right now. So maybe on like some kind of Sunroom team, Trevenant will have a niche. The last Pokemon on the list today is Snorlax. If you don't know what Snorlax does, it has served other functions in the past, but basically, most of the time what it likes to do is it clicks Belly Drum, and then because of Gluttony, it gets to eat its Pinch Berries at 50%. Now there's a Pinch Berry. What is that berry? Hold on. Because you can obviously eat one of the ones that heals your HP or one of the ones that like gives you a stat boost. But there's one that just says that you move first. Do we have it in this generation? I actually have no idea. I didn't recognize it by the name. I feel kind of silly. Where is it? Aguava, Apricot, Asperberry, Chardy, Cherry, Chesto, Chillin, Chapel, Cobra, Ganlon. No. No. I feel stupid, guys. I feel stupid because I can't remember what the name of the berry is. I haven't had to think about it for like 6 months. It's not Patea. Am I like blind? What is this berry? Berry that lets you move first. Custap berry. Custap berry. There is a berry that they introduced in... maybe it existed before then. Oh, wait. There's no custard berry in Scarlet and Violet right now. Maybe they will reintroduce it in the thing, because there are like fields and shit. But if they give us custard berry back, basically what custard berry does is it says when you're at 25% of your HP, you'll eat it, and the next move that you make will move first in its priority bracket, which is really, really cool. So basically, you can belly drum and then eat your custard berry, and now Snorlax goes first, and it can, if it really wants to, self-destruct. It can click, Terra Normal Stab self-destruct, which is just do like a stupid amount of damage, straight up. And it was really cool with Dynamax because like self-destruct, you could just Dynamax, and now it would be like really strong, Snorlax's G-Max move, and then you could just keep eating the custard berry if you got it back. But yeah. In this thing, like, Snorlax is slower than most of the Trick Room Pokemon we have right now. It has the same speed stat as Amoonguss. So, like, 50-50 on whether you'll move before Amoonguss or not if you're both minimum speed. But it is a Trick Room Pokemon that is slower than Ursaluna and can probably KO Ursaluna if it gets set up. So that's really cool. Yeah, but that's all the Pokemon that I wanted to talk about. Are there any that you feel like I'm missing? I feel like I talked about a good chunk of them. I feel like the ones I didn't talk about are probably not that important. But yeah, as always, guys, if you liked the video, leave me a big fat like, leave me a comment, let me know what you want to see in the future. If you watch a YouTuber and you enjoy their content, the best thing you can do for them is to subscribe. It doesn't have to be me, but go subscribe to some YouTuber you're watching today. It helps them a lot. It is the best thing you can do for them. And with that, everybody, my name is Andrew. I'll catch you guys next time.
Fluttermane, 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 Fluttermane. Making big reads in my flutter brain. Eevee's giving me flutter gains. Play it on rain, call it flutter rain. Get what you run a flutter train. Boss so smooth like a buttermane. Fluttermane, Fluttermane, Fluttermane. Fluttermane, 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 Fluttermane. Making big reads in my flutter brain. Eevee's giving me flutter gains. Play it on rain, call it flutter rain.